in their training camp. So we're starting with injury news. On the 3rd of August, pass rusher Darrell Taylor sprained his left shoulder but does not need surgery. The team is waiting to see how long he'll be out. That was back on the 3rd. We still do not have an update on Taylor. So that's a big hit, obviously, to the team's pass rushing ability there. Last year, Taylor tied for the team lead in sacks, so they're going to need him to get back and better. But yeah, as of the moment, no current update on Darrell Taylor. We're going to continue in the sort of injury update sort of realm, as you can see in the top of your screen there. Talked about Zach Charbonnet last week. Not really sure what was going on with him. He was out indefinitely at the time with a shoulder injury. Seattle wanted to see more of the extent of what was going on there. He is fine now. He was able to participate in the team's mock game last Friday, August 4th. So that's good news. Not so good news on the 4th. During that mock game, running back Kenny McIntosh, who was taking over sort of as the running back during training camp because Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet had been out, has a left knee sprain. The severity of that was unknown at the time. We'll get to that as we get through the rest of these updates here. That was on the 4th. Wide receiver Tariq Young is dealing with a hip/groin injury, which is why he did not play in the mock game. The severity of that was also unknown, but again, we'll get updates on those two as we continue on here. Just want to go through it chronologically so you can get sort of a timeline built in your head. August 5th, the hits kind of keep on coming here as rookie cornerback Andrew Whitaker injured his patella tendon, which is a big deal. I don't know if anybody would remember it, but during his time here in Seattle, Jimmy Graham injured his patella tendon, and there are athletes who will not come back from that injury. It's a long process. It's a hard process to get back from, so it's not going to be an easy road for Whitaker here, and it sucks for him to have to deal with that sort of injury at the beginning of his career there. He will undergo season-ending surgery to repair the damage on that patella tendon injury. On the 6th, we have some positive sort of injury-related news. Cornerback Riq Woolen passed his physical, so Seattle's now second-year corner has been cleared to come off the physically unable to perform list. It's a big boost there. Pete Carroll wasn't shying away from that sort of label for him when talking about Riq, saying that he's going to be a starter, which, I mean, makes a ton of sense for Seattle after his really big season, where, as we talked about last week, it was tied for the league lead in interception. So that's some positive news there. Updates on McIntosh and Young, as I talked about. Kenny McIntosh will be out for a couple weeks due to a left knee sprain, so that sucks. Seattle not gotten into their actual preseason games just yet. That happens in upcoming. We have a Seahawks game upcoming for the first time in a long time, so we'll get to that here in a second. Won't be able to participate in that. And then wide receiver Tariq Young is day-to-day, so that's a little bit more positive. You know, with the hip and a groin injury, either of those especially can be dangerous, can keep out for a long period of time, but sounds like that will not be the case with him. I know that Seattle will just kind of ease him out of things there and be more cautious as they were with Charbonnet this past week. So it'll be interesting to see if Tariq Young takes a hit, because that fourth wide receiver position for the Seahawks behind Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Jackson Smith-Njigba is still up in the air, considering some of the news that we'll get to in team-related news. So we'll continue on. Team notes, there will be sort of little roster moves there you'll notice through training camp. And even with the Seahawks throughout the course of the year, there are guys that they like, and they'll waive them and bring them back at a later point in time. We're seeing that right now with roster-related moves. On the 1st of August, the team signed nose tackle Robert Cooper, waiving nose tackle Roderick Perry II. Remember Perry's name, because we'll hear from him later throughout the week. On the 3rd, this one's kind of an injury-related update, but Charbonnet got back to doing drills, running routes, and catching passes on the 3rd, a day before that mock game took place. I also got a carry during a team run period, which is good, encouraging signs to see for a guy that had been held out for a little bit, and a guy that factors to be probably getting some solid carries throughout the year for the Seahawks here behind Kenneth Walker III. On the 4th, we also found, before the mock game took place, we found out the wide receiver D. Eskridge has been suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. He can participate in preseason games and practice, but he is not able to play in regular season games until after week 7. So that's a problem. He did participate in the mock game. He had 3 catches for 40 yards, but obviously somewhat of a concerning case here with Eskridge, just with what this entails. Eskridge's agent did release a statement saying in early February 2023, Dwayne was involved in an unfortunate incident with his child's mother, which resulted in his arrest and the filing of misdemeanor charges. Dwayne quickly took responsibility for his role in this incident. He has entered into an agreement whereby the misdemeanor charges will be dismissed in 12 months when he completes domestic violence morale recognition therapy. Dwayne has already enrolled in and has begun that therapy. He has not been convicted of any crime. He entered into this agreement because it is the best interest of his family. He deeply regrets any embarrassment this incident has caused his family, the Seahawks, and the NFL. So just with that, I mean, obviously it's encouraging to hear, about kind of owning up to it. We don't know the full scope of what took place, but obviously, at least it's bad to go straight into the football standpoint. So I'll try to not go straight into it. But from the football standpoint, obviously it hurts him because he's struggled with Seattle to really stick, dealing with injuries. That the pick, how high he was selected by Seattle was criticized. So it really was a big year for D to kind of come out and potentially be a big factor in this offense. But just, again, not knowing the full extent of it, I'm not going to make an entirely full judgment, but to go out there and own up to it is a good sign, I guess, take it at minimum. So, Seattle will be without D. Eskridge for 6 games of the regular season. He can still participate in these preseason games and in practices. So you'll probably still see him in practices and in preseason games, but not outside of that. And then one last roster move to round out the week. I almost said season. On August 6th, the team waived defensive end MJ Anderson and brought back Roderick Perry II. So he's back. Seattle's still trying to figure out some things along their front 7 after, struggling to stop the run last year, still being a team that struggles to get to the passer. It's not a surprise, I don't think, that they're really trying to figure out maybe with some of these guys who might be diamonds in the rough, see who's going to be a fit, who can potentially contribute, who is a diamond in the rough along the front 7, along the defensive line. So the Seahawks have a game to look forward to. August 10th. Yes, August 10th. That is Thursday versus the Minnesota Vikings here at Lumen Field, a 7 p.m. kickoff. That is the team's first preseason game of the 3 with the new, well, not really new anymore, with the schedule changes in the NFL taking place last year. The Seahawks, every team in the NFL only has 3 preseason games, and this is always a big opportunity for some of the rookies, sort of guys who are on their last chances or guys just trying to make an impact to go out and make that impact and maybe settle some position battles. Obviously, with a lot of last year's group returning, Seattle probably won't have too much surprise with where their roster and their depth chart will stand. But again, you never know. This is where preseasons where guys can make their mark and really earn a spot. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody does that for the Seahawks, who steps up, who shows out.